Hey guys, this is Substitute Topher here for the Topher today. And today we're driving a 2012 BMW X5 xDrive35i. I'm here with my buddy Dane, who's the owner of this beautiful flagship. And today we're just going to go out for a drive, talk about some ownership impressions of this X5, and do a scan of all of these warning lights on the dash. So before we get started with all that, let's hop out and take a little walk around this thing. So this car has the Sport Pack, right? So that gives you like the 20-inch wheels, is that what's on it?
Yep, 20-inch wheels, you get a black headliner, you get more aggressive bolstering on the seats, a couple other small things like the black trimmer on the windows, makes it look a little bit more aggressive.
Sweet, yeah, I've always loved the E70 gen of the X5, because it was like during that era where they really switched over from like E46 generation cars to like the Bangle era of things, so kind of like a turning point in BMW's history, which is kind of neat. And then this is a facelift car at Life Cycle Impulse.
Correct. So, facelift started in 2011, and you get lights that look a little bit more modern. There's white LEDs and the halos up front. A couple smaller changes that just make it look a little bit more clean and sleek. The earlier ones, I think this generation started in 2007, and they look a little tired at this point. So the facelift still looks fairly modern, still holds its own against some of the newer BMWs.
Yeah, a lot of BMWs from this era, like even E90s, they still look like new cars. Like if you just ask someone on the street what year this is, I doubt they would think that it was a 2012. They'd probably think it was quite a bit newer. So
right, at this point it's almost 10 years old, and it's starting to show its wear and tear,
yeah.
But overall the styling is still fairly modern.
Yeah, but it's still a really good looking car. One cool thing about these old X5s is they have a split tailgate. So this opens kind of like in half,
like a
almost.
clamshell. So
yeah.
You get a hatch on the top and a little tailgate on the bottom.
Yeah.
And I believe that's to decrease like the height of it overall, so you can put it in your garage. But
okay, that's
nice
neat.
Little feature.
Yeah. Nice, pretty good amount of cargo space back here. Sweet, and this would have come from the factory with a power opening liftgate.
Right.
But that no longer works.
Those tend to fail, and the struts to replace them are about $400 a piece,
Oof.
or equivalent to whatever aftermarket ones you want to try to trust. But yeah, it's just been a daily, and I just settled for the non-powered struts, and they work fine enough. So
I would have done the same thing. Cool, yeah, so under the hood of this X5, we have a 3-liter N55 single turbo inline 6 with about 300 horsepower, and that's mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. So a really good powertrain in this, similar to what you get, or in fact probably identical to what you get in the 335i, 535i, Z4 35i,
yep.
All that sort of thing.
That pretty much became BMW's standard performance drivetrain for
right.
a lot of their vehicles, except some of the larger high-end stuff. But it's been pretty tried and true, and now it's been replaced with the B58, which is even better. Yeah,
which is an absolute masterpiece of an engine. We've been getting like insane MPGs with B58s. So
nice.
Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop into the X5, and we'll do a little scan on these lights and see what all is going on. So we've got, you might have to explain some of these to me. So ABS, park, traction control, check engine light, tire pressure, ABS, 4x4 brake, and then of course seatbelt, because my seatbelt's not on. But
right.
You think that this is all being caused by like one thing, or?
So I believe the thing just kind of decided it didn't want to be a car anymore. I started it one morning, probably back in January, and all of a sudden the dash lit up like a Christmas tree, and all the lights were on, but it seemed to drive normal. It seemed to drive fine. So something failed somewhere.
Okay.
And the first time I scanned it with some other, just, a cheap Amazon plug-in and a standard app on an Android, it seemed to say that it was a wheel speed sensor.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm not sure how much I trust that diagnosis.
All right, cool. Well, with all of that out of the way, I think it's a good time to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Fixed, which is this little OBD2 reader that Bluetooths to your phone, similar to the one you were just talking about. Except this one actually works properly. As you can see, it's all greasy and stuff because we use it all the time. It's a staple in our garage here. We use it on all of our cars, whether it be a hoopty or something new. Like we were driving a Jeep Wrangler a few months ago, and that got a check engine light, and it was brand new. So anything can get a check engine light, and it's nice to have this little dongle thing here from Fix to be able to read it. So I'll go ahead and plug this into the port. The car does have to be running for this to get an accurate reading, so we'll go ahead and
It's like a USB, it never goes in right the first time.
I know, yeah, I always have to like flip it. It's like, what do they say? It's like 5-dimensional or whatever.
Exactly.
Cool, so
space and time.
Yeah, right. Cool, so we've got that plugged in there. And then it's as simple as just opening up your phone. If you don't already have the Fixed app, it's free to download on your Android or iPhone. I've already got it downloaded. So right now it is reading the car and adding it to our garage here. Oh, okay, we've already read the vehicle. So here's what we've got. Idle speed control valve closing solenoid.
Interesting.
The cool thing about Fixed is like it tells you how severe the issue is. So you have all these different codes in here, and it'll give you like the moderate ones in yellow, and then if it's really bad, it turns it red.
Interesting.
So, and then you can click on your code here, severe issue. See how rare this is. Consequences of continued driving might fail inspection. This is a big thing for like people that live in states where you have to pass emissions and things like that. You can go on here and see what's going on with your car. It gives you a description of what's wrong. Idle speed control valve closing solenoid control circuit electrical. The biggest thing with this for me is like when you buy one of those cheap readers off Amazon or from O'Reilly or whatever, and you get a code like this, like it'll just give you the P1505. You then have to like go into Google, look up what's wrong with it, like how to fix it and whatnot.
Dig your way through the ancient forums.
Literally.
And see if anyone has diagnosed it. Yep.
Right, so like what's cool about Fix is it's just all in one place, and it's just super easy to use, super easy to read. Cool, well, we're gonna go and take this X5 out for a drive and see what it's like on the road. But if you guys wanna get your own Fixed OBD2 reader, you can click the link in our description, and since you're a subscriber of the TheTopher, you can get this $60 reader for only 20 bucks. So thanks again to Fixed for sponsoring this video, and let's go ahead and take the X5 out for a drive. I'm gonna leave the Fixed plugged in, and we'll scan it again at the end of the drive and see if anything new popped up.
Sure thing.
So we have a light here on the iDrive. I always thought that was funny with BMWs. I used to have an E90, and whenever it like would throw a warning light, it would throw it in 3 different places. Like you have it on your cluster here, like just the bulb, and then you have it on your cluster screen, and then you have it again on the iDrive.
And on this one, you actually get a bonus. I have a optional heads-up display.
Oh,
it says
yes.
it up there too, so impossible to ignore, really. But
They just want to make sure that you're gonna take it to your nearest BMW dealer.
give them your arms and legs.
You're right.
In exchange for Diag.
So the first thing I noticed with this X5 is just how heavy the steering is, and I just drove a 2007 335i here on the channel, and it was also the first thing I noticed. It must just be like this whole generation of BMW. At low speeds, the steering is incredibly heavy. But I do actually like the feel of this steering once you're at speed. Modern BMWs have kind of lost their feel when you're going around corners. But this generation of BMW like does a really good job with feeling connected with the car. You just have to deal with feeling like you're driving a bus with no power steering when you're in a parking lot. Also got the old school BMW turn signals that don't lock into place. How have you like felt living with that? Like, does that bother you at all or no?
So overall, I've had this X5 for actually almost 3 years to the dot. I bought it in July of 2019.
Okay.
And overall, it's been really pleasant to live with. I mean, knock on wood, it's never left me stranded. It's never not driven me anywhere I didn't need to go. But I mean, it complains about it sometimes. But overall, I like the creature comforts. I like the feel of everything. The turn signal stock. I mean, it's got heated seats and a heated steering wheel. It's really pleasant and easy to get in every day and just drive.
Yeah.
But maybe you have to be a little bit of a I don't know how to put it, but you have to put up with the constant nagging and annoyances.
And that's exactly how I put it when I was driving that 335i. I was like, this would be a great car. You just really have to care. Like, you really have to be an enthusiast for something like this to be able to put up with all of the things that this car is going to throw at you.
I mean, any of this could be related to just about anything. I mean, I
Right.
have my suspicions that a lot of these lights are on because of a wheel speed sensor, but this has a giant panoramic sunroof on it. It could be a water issue with a leak that has found its way into a module somewhere, and a lot of that just leads to programming and replacement of modules, and just the repair costs seem to add up almost exponentially. So living with one of these is okay if you have deep pockets, or if you just are okay with ignoring some of the more minor issues.
Right. Well, I've got to say, just like, again, first driving impressions, like, it's so smooth still, even with all of these weird lights on the dash. Like, it just feels like it's driving normal. Throttle response is pretty good. It's a little bit of a sticky throttle pedal, but again, like older BMWs just feel like that. The engine sounds really good. Like, this engine and transmission combo is just like such a sweetheart for these older cars, and it's no exception in the X5.
Even for something that weighs, 5,000-6,000 pounds, it still feels planted in the corners.
Yeah,
with
it
those wide
does.
tires.
It really does. And that 8-speed shifts so smooth. Still, after 152,000 miles.
It has its wear. It feels a little loose. The suspension could be tighter, and I'm sure there's a couple of things that I haven't even noticed yet that could stand to be replaced. But I've got to imagine that this was a pretty formidable machine from the factory.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God, imagine how much somebody paid for this in 2012. Like 60 grand.
Yeah, I think I looked up the sticker sometime, and it was somewhere around there. You get, sport package, convenience package with the heads-up display and
Right.
Bluetooth audio and such. But
Yeah.
easy to option these out. And then the top of the line was the X5M with the twin turbo V8.
Yes, the V8 motor. So could you ever get an X5 with an N54, or did they only...
This actually was the first BMW that the N55 was offered in. This and the 7 Series of the same era.
Gotcha.
I think F01 maybe?
Yep, F01.
Were the first N55 cars that debuted, so back
Wow,
in whatever,
all right.
2010, I think, because
Cool.
the N55 was new for the facelift.
Right.
Before the 6-cylinder option was a naturally aspirated N52.
So this was the first turbocharged X5, or was the diesel? First turbocharged petrol X5,
There you
we
go.
could say, just to be safe.
I believe the diesel started in 2007 or 2008, maybe.
Gotcha.
I know you can get a pre-facelift diesel.
Right.
So might have beaten it by about a year or so, but those are excellent cars. I mean,
Yeah. And
you
that's...
deal with a lot of the same small issues, but again, another pretty impressive drivetrain that
Right.
might just be loaded with a little bit of excessive tech that yells at you.
Right. Just had to swerve around a box of Timbits in the road there. Just Michigan things. No, I'm genuinely, like, I know you've had this car for 3 years, but I've, like, barely driven it. I think I've maybe driven it, like, one time for 20 minutes prior to this. I'm really impressed with, like, how modern it still feels. I know it's only 10 years old, but you get in this, and then you get in a new X5, and it really, like, apart from the heavy steering, doesn't feel too much different. I do like the kind of traditional SUV feel that BMW retains in their bigger SUVs like the X5 and the X7, and you can definitely feel where that came from with the C70, so pretty neat.
Have you driven a E53, the previous generation?
I have not. I think that's the one generation I haven't driven. Yeah, I definitely do want to drive one of those, though. So this has like a sport mode, right? You can slap the shtick over and it'll put you into sport.
It might complain a little bit because of all the lights. I think it shifts a little bit earlier currently.
Oh, okay.
But overall, it still has some get up and go.
It is not downshifting.
Oh boy.
We'll leave it in drive. But we do have some steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, so when this car is running healthily, it bangs gears pretty quick with this 8-speed when you're in sport mode.
Yeah, the lights on the dash are a newer development. For the first 2.5 years of my ownership, this thing ran pretty great. I had a weird intermittent tire pressure sensor issue that would bing and bong.
Which is now permanent.
Yeah, now it's it's decided to give up. But no, when the drivetrain is healthy and running properly, honestly, it picks up, it goes. And this thing has done almost 50,000 miles in my ownership, and it's been across the country to Maryland and to Tennessee and to Minnesota, and I've never had a problem driving it for extended periods of time, and it's always felt safe and secure.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one of those cars that it'll always start, it'll always get you where you need to go, but you just won't be happy about it.
Exactly.
It'll drive broken
Exactly.
forever.
And I think that's probably what scares a lot of people away from ownership of this generation of BMW is it does have a way of demanding more money out of your wallet at pretty much every instance. I mean, little things break, and sure, if you're a perfectionist and you need a dash that's free of lights, you could dump a bunch of money into these. But overall, they're pretty solid, but they just like to complain.
Yeah. Even with these 20-inch wheels, the ride quality is really nice. Like going over all these manhole covers, like you can really barely even feel it. So, super comfy daily, and I know we mentioned earlier this car has the Sport Pack, so little slightly different steering wheel and then sport seats with crumb collectors, which is neat.
Collectors.
Yeah, do you have any crumbs in there right now?
I'll check. Free on this side, probably a little worse on
There's
this
probably
side.
crumb. Do you eat in here?
Every so often.
There's probably crumbs on this side. Let's check. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Well, not a lot, but you've got a couple crumbs in the old collector.
I'm still stuck in my COVID habits of eating in my car.
Oh yeah. The powertrain just sounds so healthy. Like you would never know that it had all these lights.
Right.
You just put like a piece of paper over the cluster. That's what you should do.
The old electrical tape over the dash lights.
Yeah, like my E46.
Exactly.
Yeah. You'd have to use a lot of tape here.
Maybe a whole roll or two.
Yeah. So with this ABS light, do you not have ABS?
Yeah, so this actually short answer, no. This compound issue of whatever 8 lights on my dash started in January, and there was still quite a bit of snow on the ground, and I did not have ABS, and I actually don't have 4-wheel drive at the moment. It's currently stuck in rear-wheel drive.
It's rear-wheel drive right
Yep.
now? Let's go do donuts.
Yeah. With those 315s on the back. you
Oh
might have
Lord,
to
yeah.
Really whip it.
BMW finally did it. They finally got rid of the physical climate controls,
Oh, very sad.
which is just very sad from a journalist standpoint. It's our #1 favorite thing to complain about.
Mhm.
So, no complaints in here. Very attractive design as well. Volume knob right in reach. Your whole climate control panel just laid out. I don't see what the problem is with this. I don't know why everyone's trying to go so minimalist now.
I don't get it either.
This is
because-
such an attractive center stack here.
Right, it's nice to have a nice slim collection of buttons that do everything you need. You know, keep the basic features readily available. And sure, there's some custom stuff you can do in screens, and I know a lot of newer cars have like lumbar and massage features built into the screens themselves.
Right.
That makes sense.
Which is fine, yeah.
If you're driving and you gotta turn the volume down, or you gotta
Just
just flick it.
just flick it.
Nothing wrong with that.
The thing that really irritates me the most is when it's freezing cold
Mm-hmm.
and like you really want to get your climate going or like use your heated seat, you then have to go into the menus and stuff.
And
It's just
stab
like
the screen about 18 times.
literally, it's so obnoxious. Like, just give me buttons.
It's a totally different generation, like you said. I mean, modern cars, everything has a big screen in the middle. Everything has some sort of, comfort access, creature comforts, unique features that make it feel new and futuristic even. But
Right.
stuff 20 years ago didn't even have that.
Nope. We sound so young talking about a 2012 car like
Oh my
it's
God.
ancient. All right, cool. That's gonna wrap up the drive. There's one more thing I want to test out though before we get out. If you watched old Top Gear, there was a film they did on the BMW X6, which is the same as this basically. It just has a hideous rear roof line instead of a proper SUV rear roof line. And I remember Jeremy did the review on the X6, and he went to Australia to see if the glove box would still open, because it's like a split. Will you open the
Sure.
glove box?
You get a
Yeah.
very interesting split. I'm
Glove
not going to call
box?
it a glove box
Why?
because it's more of a secret compartment, and
Okay.
this lacks a glove box. There's
Oh.
nothing here.
There's nothing down there.
And this is extremely inconvenient. The user manual,
It's
user
over here.
manual's in the door because it doesn't fit. It simply does not fit, no matter how you try to wedge it in here.
It won't fit.
It doesn't close.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember this being like one of the elements of this car that was talked about a lot. And Jeremy went all the way to Australia to see if it would work, because of course everything in Australia is upside down.
Right.
So, all right, let's go ahead and read this X5 one more time, just for good measure, with fixed. Left her plugged in down there. You don't even notice. Just rides along with you in the port. Yep, all the same issues.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, that's slightly reassuring. Our drive went through, or went through our drive without a hitch. So.
Exactly. I didn't break anything extra.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again to Fixed. Like I said earlier, guys, if you want your own Fixed OBD2 reader, you can click the link in the description and get one for $20. Cool. So this does have a push button start, but you have to put the key in the slot. A really, really cool looking key. Again, like something that was way ahead of its time.
Exactly.
My 2007 BMW had the exact same key, so really cool. Cool. Well, we'll do one more little walk around of the outside of this thing, and then we will wrap it up for today. Oh, that's good ASMR. Crispy. I will say, though, the leather has held up remarkably well.
Overall,
like, these seats literally look brand new.
Build quality on this is fairly impressive. You know, the more I live with it and the more wear and tear I put on it,
Yeah.
it takes it. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last thoughts? If you want to buy this X5,
yeah,
it's for sale.
So, I mean, overall, 3 years of ownership, never left me stranded. I really think that this generation of X5 would be a good deal if you could find one that was maintained, but otherwise, for most people, it's too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
It complains too much to be something that's comfortable to live with every day.
Right.
I don't mind it, but I'm a little bit sick of it at this point. I think I'll probably try to unload it sometime soon and move on to the next thing.
Cool. All right, well, you heard it there. If you want to purchase this X5, hit up Dane on Instagram, and maybe you'll be able to own this beautiful flagship. But otherwise, if you're not mechanically inclined, buy a Toyota Land Cruiser.
Yeah, that's what's on the menu next.
Exactly. Cool. All right, guys, well, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon in the next video. Take care.